Hey, in this video I'm going to show you all the basic Excel stuff that I know, like really basic stuff, not even like coding or anything. It's just really simple stuff that saves me a lot of time. So the first thing is, so say you're trying to change the name of a folder. If you press F2, it automatically selects it, so you don't have to like double click. So if I just press F2 on my keyboard, then it highlights it and I could change the name of the folder to whatever I want. That also works over here. Instead of having to double click to enter stuff into a cell, you can press F2 and it goes to, you can start writing right away. That saves me a lot of time. So another thing is, like, you can press Control and Shift. If you press Control Shift, it selects the entire next word when you press left on the keyboard or right on the keyboard. And then if you press Shift and then left, it just selects one character at a time. And then if you press Control and left, then it'll just go in between each of the words, so you can select words faster. So on your keyboard, if you're at the bottom of a really long reply chain, you can press Home on the keyboard, and that will bring you all the way to the top. Or you can press End, and that'll bring you all the way to the bottom of the email, instead of pressing Page Up or scrolling a lot. When you're typing, say you want to change the size of the letters, if you press Control Shift and greater than sign, that makes the font get bigger. So Control Shift and this symbol on your keyboard, greater than, or you press Control Shift and less than, it makes the word smaller. If you press Control B, that makes the words bold. So press Control B again, it makes it not bold. If you press Control U, it makes them underlined. If you press Control I, it makes them italicized. In Excel, if you press Control S, it saves the workbook. If you press Control C, you could copy stuff, and then Control V pastes it. So copy, paste. These are formulas, so it's just pasting the formula right now. Let's see, I'm just pasting numbers. Control C, Control V. You can press Control Z to undo what you just did. You press print screen on the keyboard to take a screenshot of the current screen. And then under format, you could go to crop, and you can crop the image to be only a certain portion of the image. And then you could copy the crop. You could also alternatively use the snipping tool to take screenshots. So here's how you set the printer area. So over here you go to print titles, and you select the area you want, and then you select the rows you want to repeat at the top. So say if this is like 2,000 rows, then it'll just repeat quarter, year, unit price, and units sold at the top. And you can repeat columns at the left. And then here's like a print preview. So whenever you're doing formulas, so say I wanted to add this number plus this number, and then I drag it down to here, then it adds that same number in each of the different rows. Like E3, it just adds them down. It goes down as you go down the column. But if you wanted to change how that's done, like say you wanted to reference a cell without it moving, this is called absolute referencing. So say if I wanted to add every single number in this column only to the first number in column C, 530, then I do equals that plus that, and then I press F4, and I'll put a dollar sign on both sides of it. So let me do this formula up here. So say equals this plus that, and then F4 on the keyboard. And I drag it down. So now all the numbers just get added against the first number because they have the dollar signs around them, so they don't move. That's if you press F4 once. If you press F4 twice, like see, I'll just press F4, F4, F4. It cycles through each of the F4s. So if you press F4 twice, what it does is it holds the position for horizontal. So say if I drag, if you drag like the formula to the right, then it will keep that same formula there. And then this one, if you press F4 once, it will keep it in the same spot vertically. So it's kind of like the same thing as F4 once, this formula, because it's just holding that same vertical thing in the same spot. But this one, it holds it horizontally in the same spot. So that's the difference between absolute and relative referencing. Another cool thing is if you press Control and let me just put this over here. So this is the symbol you have to press. It's near the 1 on your keyboard. You just have to press that. So you press Control and tilde, and then you can see the formulas that are on your sheet. And you press it, Control tilde again, and then the formulas go away. I'm going to show you basic formulas now. So here's this plus that. This is adding. Subtracting. If you double click this little button at the bottom, it drags the entire formula all the way down, as long as you're next to a row of data. That's dividing. That's multiplying. And then say you want to sum equals, you could do sum. You just open up the parentheses and then close the parentheses after selecting the range. So that's the sum of all the numbers. If you want a fast sum, go over here and click auto sum, and it sums up a continuous line of data. So that gives you an auto sum. If you want the average, you do equals average, and then open brackets and close brackets after selecting it. And then I guess, like, say I wanted to add this number plus this number, and then after adding it together I wanted to multiply it by this number. That's how you do that. It's kind of like PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. That's how Excel works. Here's like a count, so equals count, and it counts however many. So I selected, see down here, 20, and over here it has the sum down there, and it has the average for the highlighted range. So there are 20 different things with data in them here in the selected range. Say if I selected this range too, it still counts as 20 because this is blank, so it doesn't count it. But say if this had like a space in it, it still wouldn't count it because it's a word character. So if it said like green here, it still wouldn't count it because it's not a number. here's an if statement. So if this is greater than, so here's the first argument of the if formula. So it's a logical test. So if this is greater than that, and then you put a comma, and then the second argument gets bolded. So this is the value you want to return if it's true, and then this is the value if you want to return if it's false. So this is testing if 90,630 is greater than 3. I want it to be a 1. If it's not greater than 3, I want it to be 0. And it just does that for the entire thing. And let's just change this number to like a really big number, and this updates to 0 because this number is not. This number 60,420 isn't bigger than that number. And then here's how you do an if and statement. So an if and statement is so I want to test if this is bigger than that, and this is bigger than, let's just say, and this equals 2007. And then here's the value of true and the value of false. So these are the two conditionals now. So now this number has to be bigger than this, and this number has to equal 2007 for it to return a 1, otherwise it returns a 0. So both of these conditions have to be true because the and is here. And it still returns a 0 because this number is smaller than that, even though this is 2007, which this tests for. So if B3 equals 2007, that's true. But H3 isn't larger than this number. 60,420 isn't larger, so. And then here is, I drag the formula up here. So this number H3, 90,630, is bigger than 3. And then B2 has to equal 2007, and then it'll return a 1. And in this case, it didn't return a 1 because I put double quotes around the 2007, which would read it as a string of characters of words instead of as a number. So if I set it to equal 2007, then it would return it because this data type is seen as general. But if I switch it to text over here, and it would still work. Alright, whatever. So yeah, that's the and statement. And the or statement is as long as one of these is true, then it will return the true condition. And if neither of them are true, then it returns the false condition. So that's how you work with the or statement. You basically just start the if, and then you start the or right away, and then you do the two conditions, and then you do the returns. And for the value of true, you could also do an if statement there too. So if it's true, you can also do another if statement within there. So you can do multiple ifs within ifs. Here's the left. So the left formula, it returns the left character of whatever cell you're referencing, and then it returns however many characters you designate. So I wrote 1, so it returns the first character in 530, which is 5. If I did 2 characters, it returns 53. And then 3 characters, 530. So same thing with right. It returns from the right hand side, so it returns 530. And in this case, the 1 will return to 0 because it returns from the right hand side, and the left returns from the left hand side. And the mid formula, it actually starts, you designate what number you want it to start at. So I'm going to start at 1, and I want to return 1 character. So it returns 5. And let's say I want to start at 2 and return 1 character. It'll return the 3. So the mid function is only useful, I guess, if you use like a search function. So say I want to find where the decimal point is in this number, and I want to start at the first thing. So the decimal point is at the second character of this cell, G2, 3.099. So say if I want all the numbers, if I want all the characters after the decimal point, you do equals len, so that returns all the total characters in a particular cell. So this has 16 characters. Let me just paste this so it's not a formula anymore. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that's 16 characters. And this second character is the decimal point, which I searched for. So I'm going to do equals right of this, and the amount of characters I want is this minus that. So this returns everything to the right of the decimal point, because you took the total length of the cell and you subtracted where the search starts. And you could do search, and being that you start at certain things, like say if I start at like character 3, it wouldn't return anything because there isn't a decimal point after the third character. But let's say if I put a decimal point there, then see this returns the decimal points after. So it's useful for manipulating data in Excel. Another formula is equals today. So that just returns whatever day it is on your computer. And then you could just add to today. You could add 1 day. You could do equals month for today. That'll give you the month of the day. You could do equals day. You could do equals year. Let's say you do like so a VLOOKUP, and I'll just put all these years over here. And I'm just going to switch this year to 3000 because that's not over here. I'm just going to do equals VLOOKUP, and the table array, I can press F4 so the table doesn't move around, and it'll just stay at this column. So I'm going to look up this cell, and I'm going to see if it's in this table, and the column index number is what number you want to return from the table if it matches, and if it doesn't match, then it gives you an NA. So notice how when you have NAs, so say if I go to Control F and I go to, or like say I want to find pound NA, and I want to replace them with zeros because I don't want any NAs there. So if I press F, replace all, it fails to replace it. But say if I want to find and replace all the 2008s with dot, so I'll replace all, and I replace all the 2008s with dot. So that works. The reason it didn't work over here is basically you have to just copy and then paste special, and then that NA lets you change it. So pound NA, replace all, so that works. So let's see. I'm gonna send an email with these numbers to myself. So say you get an email from someone, and you want to copy the table from Outlook to Excel. Whatever, you could watch my remove blank spaces video for that. I show how to do that in that video. Anyway, it didn't happen this time. Let's see what else. Data formatting. Yeah, so the different data formats are up here. So you could select a number and make these numbers. You could select like general, which is in really a specific format. You can make it text, which makes the left hand justified. And the thing about text is, I mean, you really don't have to worry about data formatting unless you're trying to add up numbers and you have it accidentally as like text or something, or you're working with VBA, or you're working with Access and you need it to be a specific type of column. So you could change, like you could select days. So let's say equals today, and it selects it as date. You could select here to do long date. And here are more number formats over here. You go to date and you can scroll down, and these are all the different ones. And you go to custom, and custom has like the different month, day, year, because like Access needs like a specific one. And you can like really customize it with like question marks and other stuff to enter however you want it to be. That's data formatting. Decimals, like if you want decimals over here, if you select here, you can't really change the decimals because you selected the first row, which has words in it. If you go over here, you could change the decimals like that. This left moves them the decimal points further out, and right moves them closer. You could do conditional formatting. So anything greater than 0, I want to highlight as red, or you could do a custom format and fill. So I want it as green, press OK. And then anything that's greater than 0 will get highlighted as green, and it updates automatically. And then if you want to clear the rules, you go to here, clear rules. And you could also do like data bars, so you can see like which one's bigger. Here's a cool thing, you can freeze the top of a top row, so when you scroll down, that row will always be there. That's pretty useful. And then you can click unfreeze. So here's pasting. You paste, when you click values, it'll paste the values there. If you paste that, it'll paste it with the formulas. So this has just like the values from over here. But this paste, it has like the formula, because it includes, because this formula over here was that minus that. So it just moves the formula as much over as I moved over. So this was D minus C. So I move over like 10 columns, and now it's L minus M. So that's that type of paste. This type of paste also keeps the formulas and moves them over. FX is the formulas. And you can transpose them. So you go to special transpose, and that'll put it horizontally instead of vertically. If you wanted to keep the numbers there, transpose. Say if I wanted to get to the bottom of a group of data, you hold down Control and you go down, or Control go up. And if you hold down Control Shift, it'll select it. And then you hold Control Shift right, it'll select that one. Say if I wanted to delete out any blanks here. So here's a blank row. So go to here, go to delete cells. That deletes it. So over here, press F5 and go to special and go to blanks. So this selects all the blanks here, and you go to delete and delete cells. So that deletes all the blanks. It just switches back to number. So I have a lot of 5s here. So I'm just going to go here and go to remove duplicates. So this removes all the duplicates, and you only have 1 5. So say if I want to take the format, so notice how this has like the grid lines around it. Go over here, I go to Format Painter. Now this has the grid lines around it. Say if you wanted the grid lines, you could also do it up here, click there. And you could do like the right hand side border. You could do the bottom border. So if you right click on it and you go to Format Cells and Alignment, you can merge cells into, so now this is just one cell right here. It's just I-14 now. Say if you have a column that has like a really long word and you want to fit it into a smaller space, go here and go to Wrap Text and then make it smaller. And you could double click there and double click there, and it'll make the column as big as it needs to be. You can click up here and do that. It'll make the column as big as it needs to be there. And you can do that for the rows too. You can also highlight all the rows and then choose the height, and it selects all the heights for all of them. Does the same thing for the columns. So here is a filter. Under filter, you can select specific things. If you just type, it'll go to whatever you're looking for. You can go to, like, you want to filter anything less than 0. There's nothing less than 0 there. These are all positive numbers. Sorting, you can add a sort. So if I want to sort by the years, smallest to largest, that'll just sort it from smallest to largest here. And then you could like add sorts to it. So go here, data sort. You could add a level. So if you wanted to sort by year, and then you want it to sort by units sold. So now I have 2007, and then I have the smallest unit sold up to the largest for 2007. You could do an advanced filter. So you could filter like this, and you could filter it by whatever's over here. So say if this all said green and then this was green, it would filter it by green. So you could filter by another column. So here's all the different formulas that you can use on the computer. Absolute value, and it has like all the different formulas here. And what is like a formula? You just double click it. So here's just absolute value. So if I want the absolute value of this number, now here's the absolute value formula. If I want an average for that number and that number and that number, got the average. This just has like all the different formulas. I guess another cool thing is say if I wanted to, like here's like a list of colors. So say if I wanted to name this range, I go over here to the name box and I'll just do like colors and then press enter. So now if I wanted to go to wherever the colors are, click that and it'll go right there. And another cool thing about name boxes is you could fill in data validation with it. So say over here, if like I had like a survey, it's like what color, and then I sent the sheet around to everyone, and I could also name this like answer, and I could just pull all the answers with VBA. So over here, just go to data, and then data validation, and over here select list, and source is whatever that is, so equals colors, and then press OK. So what color, and then you could just select it, and then I could just pull their answers. The name manager is over here in formulas, so you go to name manager and you can see the different where those are. And that's pretty much basically it. I mean, if you want to like save as, you go like save as, and it'll save like a new workbook in a new place. In options, if you go over here to, oops, it's just running code from one of my other programs. I got an email. So over here, if you go to save, and then go to save auto recovery, you could change your auto recovery locations. So your Excel file will save every few minutes at a specific spot. So if your Excel crashes, you go to protect workbook, And you could encrypt with a password. So let's say I want my password to be YouTube. Press OK. So now when I save this file, they'll have to type in YouTube in order to open it. So it's password protected. So over here, if I go to Insert and I go to Table, and my table has headers because the first row has words in the columns, check this box. Okay, so now this is a table. And the good thing about tables is you can filter by, let me find something that has two. So you can filter by two different columns at once, so that's why tables are useful. And also tables, you can reference them over here. They get added to the name range, and you can reference them and connect them to Access. And you could add a total row over here, which adds like a total. And for the total, you can select sum, average, count for all the different columns you have. Let me just copy this over to, this is how you make a new sheet. If you press Control and page up, that switches to the left sheets. Control page down, that switches to the right sheets. So that's how you make new sheets. Go to Insert and Pivot Table. Okay. So over here, you can select the quarter, and if you want all the units sold in the quarter, you go over here, and it gives you the sum of each of the units in each of the quarters. So here's Q1, and units sold total is 1148 down here. And over here you got 1148, so it sums it up. You can also just get the count over here. You could switch it between all these different things. And then say if I want the years up here, you get the count by the years. Or I could just like filter by the years. So if I want different years, if I only wanted these 2 years, you could do that. And you could use advanced filtering and my thing that cycles through all the pivot tables to filter it really fast with VBA if you want to do that. And yeah, that's basically it.